Zikri here. We're back again for another show with ITMATTERS. It's been a while since I've hosted it. It's been a week actually, so it's not really been a while. But I'm glad to be back here at an auspicious day because November for men is also Movember. So I'm not really trying to grow my mustache precisely, but we'll see how that goes. But today we're talking about something quite important, that revolves around our well-being, whether it's mentally and physically, and at the same time, we're looking at how fast-paced and how glued we are in front of our cell phones. And there's a reason why it's called a cell phone in America, because you're literally in a cell, like in a prison. And the phone is the prison. Again, I don't know if it's a nice way to put at it as a metaphorically speaking, but it is what it is. And it has become instrumental in enhancing our mental health or self-care practices, depending on how you use these tools. And of course, as technology grow, there are many ways that you could use on apps that's made available, whether if it's on the web browser or through an app. So we're looking at discovering a wide array of digitized therapy worksheets, techniques, or different kind of assessment that you can access anytime. And these are one of the few reasons why we're having these two amazing guests, one from a social enterprise that's taken by storm, and also someone who is a coach that focuses on mental and transformation of one being. So whether you're seeking healing support or simply curious about the potential of digital tools in the realm of mental health, then this live stream is for you. And joining us as we embark on a journey of growth and empowerment, I'd like to invite Nureen Hamka, who is the co-founder at SAPOT. Welcome, Nureen. How are you doing?
Hi.
Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
And not to forget our other guest, Caleen Caseryn, Chua, who is the mind and body transformational coach. She just finished her event called Enliven. Oh my God. Okay. There's a tongue twisting for me. So, and I was told she spoke there for 7 hours. So I hope that is part of the Malaysian Guinness Book of Record at some point. But I'm glad that you are here with us. Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
So just to start off very quickly, the both of you don't know each other yet, even though we had a few small chat off camera. But I'd like to ask Nureen first, and then followed by Caleen, to kind of introduce yourself and what you do at SAPOT, and followed by Caleen as well. And then perhaps from there, I'll try and instigate a bit more on moving on with this topic.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Nureen Hamka. I am actually the COO and co-founder of SAPOT, a self-care and social support platform where we provide social support to people. So yeah, that's briefly about what SAPOT is.
Okay, that's very nice. Very short and sweet. So next, Caleen.
Yes, hi everyone. Thank you for having me again, Incitement. It's a pleasure to be here. So I'm Caleen. I'm the founder of Yoga for Moms. So I'm a transformation coach for women, and I started doing this during the pandemic. So my Mind and Body Transformation Program has impacted women from over 4 countries, including Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, and Australia. And this year we just launched Enliven Women, which happened last week. And Enliven Women is aimed to uplift the spirits of women through personal growth, through mindfulness, and through self-discovery. So that's a little bit about me.
No, that is amazing. 4 countries. And how long have you been doing this, Caleen? Just so that I understood. Did I miss that? Or?
So about 3 years now. So we started during the pandemic. So it's about 3 years. Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know. So I'll start with Nureen, since I think it's the same for you. If you can correct me if I'm wrong, Nureen, that you also just started quite recently, right? Yes or yes?
Yeah. We started last year. We actually are a social enterprise. So we are a startup. So it's a hard but challenging but happy journey for us. So I think, yeah.
Absolutely. I'm sure the journey was rewarding,
Yeah.
and I'll probably come back to Caleen later because she started 3 years ago. Maybe she could share some of her input on how she uses any kind of, if any, on any technology avenue to enhance her coaching. But on your side, Nureen,
Yeah.
what is the story? How did you get involved with starting something like with SAPOT? And again, it's a very catchy name, and I also like it. Very how do you say? Very Gen Z.
Yeah. So it's like a playful name. Basically, it's like support, but I know like all my friends would say it's support. So like support local, support member, just like support your friends and everything. So that's why it's like support.
Okay.
And if I would share like a personal story, how I
Yes.
started support is that I had a friend that expressed to me that he was dealing with depression.
Mm.
And when I heard about it, my heart sank. I remember the response that I gave was silence because I didn't know how to help him and I didn't know who to reach out to in order to help him. So
Okay.
that has been my why I started support. It's basically to help another Nureen out there so they can help their friends. And so the journey of support itself, we were in an incubation program called SEED Lab, Social Enterprise Education Lab under Petronas and Tata Consultancy
Mm-hmm.
Services. So we join as individuals. So I have 4 co-founders with me, Fatiha, Najia, Khadija, and myself. And then now I have another member called Iridina. So we are all women, and we started the company together. And basically, each one of us has their own story. Some of them were um, dealing with other friends are dealing with mental health issues. Some of them are mental illness survivors themselves. And we have different stories behind us, like the reason why, but at the end of the day, we just want to help people with their mental health. So yeah.
And to follow up the story, you know, like
Yeah.
because I checked a bit on some of the service providing
Mm-hmm.
the services that you're providing, you know, from a hotline,
Mm-hmm.
from booking a session, and now I'm hearing that you are building some kind of technology platform, whether if it's an app or a web as a service. I'm not really sure, but
Mm-hmm.
do you see, is this part of your vision on trying to look into digital tools that will play a pivotal role in shaping the vision of an inclusive mental health care ecosystem for support?
Yeah, so basically we have a solution. So we that is basically have 3 features. So one that is currently live is called Support Warrior, where we train mental illness survivors to become accredited peer supporters. And you can book a session at our website, www.support.app, and you can talk to mental illness survivors and you can learn more about what you're dealing with, because sometimes what we understand, like currently in Malaysia, we would have suicide hotlines and you can go to a doctor. So we want to bridge the gap. I'm sorry, bridge the gap. So
It's okay.
because
It's okay.
sometimes
Come to it.
there's people, I know I'm not okay, but I'm not that to the point that I want to harm myself or take my life away, or even I know I'm not that okay to not see a doctor, if I make sense. So basically, like people in the middle, so we call them in the reacting category, with people with poor mental well-being. If I don't do something about it, then my mental health will deteriorate. So this is where support comes in. We would help people in the middle. And
Okay.
currently, the digital tools that with the tech behind it is basically we run our sessions online, and you can book a session basically on our website. So it's accessible to a lot of people. And we are currently developing our app in the future, and with 2 other features called Support Tools and Support Stories. So basically, Support Tools is, like you said, basically tools, assessments, and even worksheets that are digitized, so people can do it wherever and whenever. We would also have a platform where our users are able to share their stories, their mental health struggles, maybe about sexual abuse, sexual harassment, or caregiver burnout, even heartbreaks. And we would pair it with a professional point of view where people could read and learn, where we provide them psychoeducation. So yeah.
Okay. I'm going to pose a question to Caleen because, Caleen, you've been in this industry for a bit longer than SAPOT in the past 3 years. And I just want to know, when the moment you venture on as a mind and body transformation coach, was there a time where it became a bit more difficult and challenging, where you would just wish that there was a tool, whether if it's done on a platform or an app that would have solved some of those pain points, and would you share a bit more? What would that be, if any? Perhaps it could be very interesting for Nureen to kind of look into that as well, and even for me.
Yeah, I think that's such a great question. So to just share with you a little bit, when I started Yoga for Moms about 3 years ago, during the pandemic, I realized that a lot of women came to me initially because they wanted body transformation. I mean, after you become a mom, obviously your body goes through a lot of transformation, right? And you want to look as good, you want to feel good, you want to feel as strong as you did before, or even better. But their biggest take home, so 90% of the women would come and tell me after the whole program, we do a 9-week mind and body transformation program. And because I'm a mindfulness coach, I'm trained in mindfulness-based stress reduction. So 90% of the women would come and tell me that their biggest take home was actually the mindfulness sharing and the gratitude practice that I teach them. So they initially joined because of the body, but their biggest take home was always about the mind, something that could help them regulate their emotions, to feel happier, to look at things from a different perspective, to live life a little bit easier and navigate through the ups and downs, especially then because it was during the pandemic and was such a hard time for a lot of people.
Of course.
So one thing I realized is that technology can never replace a human touch. So I use technology only for my Zoom classes. So I was doing my classes online on Zoom. I recorded my program and I sent it to my students so they can access it at any time, at their convenience. But I also realized that for them, it was having that safe space and that community where, every week they will gather together for this class, right? And every week they will see one another, they hear my sharing, and then they will do some reflection together. So it's always when one person opens up. So I think what Nureen said about, sharing stories is very important, because when one person opens up, then the other person feels like, oh, I'm not alone in this. And then, it sort of triggers an effect where everyone feels safe to share. And so that was how I started the program. And eventually that led to us building a community on WhatsApp. So I actually have 2 WhatsApp communities, one for my Yoga for Moms and one more for Enliven Women. So we have about 200 over women now with us.
Okay.
And
yeah. Okay. Yeah, go for it. Sorry.
Yeah. So that is how we use technology. So technology cannot replace the human touch in that sense. So technology is always like a tool for us to connect with one another, for us to feel that, I'm only like a phone call or WhatsApp away, that, there's always someone else there looking out for them and sharing their own stories as well.
Okay. Now, as a coach, especially as a mind and body transformational coach, does tracking matter to you? On what I mean by that is, how important is it for you to track one's progress? And a lot of people would say it's quite fluid, because it's not like, it's not numbers in that sense. And I always wanted to ask this question to coaches, because when you go to see a psychologist, of course, different focus, right? Because you go there until the assessment is done by the psychologist after every session, and then they will tell you whether if it's I don't know, depending on how honest the psychologist is, they could upsell, they could downsell, they could be honestly saying, hey, you're good to go. But on your opinion, because since you've been doing this for 3 years and you just had a very big event of yourself, which I congratulate you.
Thank you.
I really want to know if tracking matters, and how would you track it from your point of view on ensuring that your students or your clients are see that tracking is important or not?
Yeah, perfect question. So my background, I'm actually a business analyst and finance trained, so numbers mean a lot to me.
Okay.
I never thought that one day I'll be a coach. This was not part of my ambition or plan. It just happened very naturally. Like, women reached out to me, and it was during the pandemic, and I thought, okay, since I'm at home, why not share? And from that sharing, I eventually continued to do this because I realized I felt called to do it, and I felt very fulfilled to be able to help someone else, you know. So I am a numbers person first and foremost. So everything is tracked. Basically, body-wise, so if you talk about my mind and body transformation program, for the body part, every week they have to send me photos. So they get weekly progress. If you see on Yoga for Moms, there's on the highlights, you can see the before and after, and it's always on a weekly basis. So you see week 0, week 1, week 2, week 2, week 3. So I feel that it is very important for people to see their progress in order to feel the continuous motivation to do something. Correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of us, you know, when we initially we get so passionate, right? But if we don't see progress, if we somehow feel that, oh, I'm not sure, is this working out? We don't see where we're going, then we lose that passion. But if you see that, oh, hey, look, even if it's just 1 week, I already see that, oh, I've lost some weight, or I look toner, or, you know, I feel stronger. So all of that is very important. So that's the body part. So for the mind part, I actually do a survey after every program. And the survey is to tell me what will my students take home, whether they actually learned something positive from it, and also what were their, you know, some of the practices that really impacted them. So for me, I have all these data, and the data is what actually led eventually to Enliven Women, which I mentioned. 90% of my students would tell me that they actually took home the mindfulness part of the program more than the body part. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, holistically, this is what your main focus would be, because you're not just touching on one particular focus of one's self-healing or self-improvement focus. And the reason why I asked this question is you know, because I want to see, is it the same, is it similar to what Nureen is doing with SAPOT, on how you manage to, because, you know, worksheets, in my top of my head, if you say worksheets, oh, you're tracking something, or you're looking at something that is helping you to understand the progress of of one of your customer client, or someone who's seeking help. So would you say that what Caleen is doing to track her progress is somewhat similar? Because I know she's focusing on body, on the mind. Well, in your case, I mean, I'm presuming it's more about stories, you know, how deep of an impact that person is going through. Because if someone is going to be suicidal, for example, you know, how would you, you know, as an example, how would you look at progress of that one person? Because I can show you my story, because I have a friend whose brother who accidentally was in a freak accident, and someone died, and they had to put him into a you could say like a psychiatrist or psychologist, because he had this very terrible temper. After that, you know, the way how this psychiatrist institute was progressing is more about on the medicine he eats to manage whatever it's trying to do, you know. But at the end of the day, there was no way for him to come out of that, because it was very, you know, it's not in Malaysia, fortunately, because I know it's a bit better here. It's in another third world country. So in the end of the day, you know, he came out, and then whatever progression they receive from the family side seems good, you know. Seems like, okay, I guess he's healed. But at the end of the day, you know, sadly he committed suicide because he just couldn't take it. And it's not something that is not for what they say, for a lack of a better word, is untrackable, because they're saying, oh, it's just him. So whether this is going to put a lot of burden on your shoulder, I hope it's not, but rather it's a way for you to see, for us to kind of see if there are other smart ways to look how you would track of someone of this kind of case. And I'm sorry if I a bit messy here, but I hope you get my point, right?
So basically, actually, there are tools out there that, you know, helps you to to track your goals. Actually, sometimes we as people, we have goals, like Caleen was saying, like my goal is to be healthier, or my goal is to be stronger, to lose weight. So there are tools out there that can help us, to take care of our mental health state as well. So for example, the goal is that for me to be happier, for me to be, fulfilled in my life. Those are goals that you can set. And we're talking about emotion. Sometimes emotion, it depends. Like, it depends on your surrounding as well. It depends on, like, the people around you, the situation that you're dealing with. For example, sometimes you go to work, I want to be happy, but today it's not that day. It's not that I didn't do well at work, or I got scolded. Day by day, your emotion change. But what you need to know with those goals is that, am I feel fulfilled? Do I feel enough? Do I not feel empty anymore? So there are tools out there that can help you. And as well as, if we're talking to mental illness survivors, like that's people we call SAPOT warriors, they can help you, help you with your understanding the emotions that you're going through. So there are support warriors that is dealing with PTSD, that is dealing with
chronic depression.
Chronic depression, bipolar disorder, ADHD. Sometimes you just don't understand why you're feeling this way. Will I not be happy all the time? Will I be sad all the time? So when you talk to mental illness survivors, and then you understand your emotions, and from there you can, basically check a list on your goals itself. So, the reason why I'm not happy is because of this. That's how you track your emotions. So definitely later on, when we do develop the app, we would have trackers for you to track how happy are you, or what's your goal, am I achieving my goal, and how do I achieve my goal. So yeah.
So touching on that particular narrative you just shared, could you share with us a success story, or perhaps even better, a testimonial where the use of your current services or digital tools at SAPOT that made a significant difference in an individual's mental health journey, perhaps showcasing the boundless potential on why using tech or supporting tech support matters on helping fostering the one person's well-being?
Yeah. So, like I do agree with Caleen. Like, tech is just a tool for us to, connect. Yes. And we do still need human connection, because especially dealing with human emotions, you need another human to, help you to deal with those things, right? So, if I could share like feedbacks from our users that they share overwhelmingly positive feedbacks, where 100% would recommend to their friends, and like 4.5 they rated 4.5 out of 5 for helpfulness. And if I could share a quote that stood out for us, is that one of the users said, "I woke up with a heavy heart, like always. I never opened up to anyone else before, so I feel at ease and much better after talking to a support warrior. Thank you, SAPOT. You just made me feel more dignified and that I matter in this world." And to me, although like sometimes, running a business, you still need, I gained this much profit. I have this much revenue and stuff, But at the end of the day, our users, our target beneficiaries, and those kind of feedbacks makes me happy. Even though as a startup, we still have time to have more revenues or more profits in the future, but this is the reason why we keep on going, even though having a startup is very difficult. So this is I would say our burning fire, that there are a lot of people benefiting from the services that we provide. So yeah.
Okay. Now hold on to that thought on the testimonial, because I want to ask back to Caleen now, because the type of work you do, I did kind of browse through a bit on some of your posts on Instagram. I didn't really go into your LinkedIn or your previous work, but I can already see that you are also built around a community, right? Like the community of your students really matter, and it goes along very well with what you mentioned earlier on human touch. Human touch is not just limited to physical touch. Could be, you know, the connection, the seeing, the conversation, all of these aspects. Now, can you tell us how important is a community for students like yours in order for them to grow? Because we all know about, you know, everyone talks about CrossFit, for example, right? But it doesn't, and then, you know, it could be a bit overboard depending on which CrossFit gym you go to. You know, we talk, and a lot of it is on the mainstream. It's all about sports. Sports has this amazing mechanism when it comes to the team factor, you know, and it motivates you. It also helps you to be disciplined, which is what a study has shown as well. So in your case, Caleen, you know, what have you seen, and how do you manage your community to ensure that their growth and their improvements also ties in really importantly with the community that you're building?
Yeah, so thank you for that question. So I think you're asking me about the importance of community, right? And so something that I think in this day and age, because we live in a digital world, I think a lot of us feel very disconnected from community, but like it or not, actually, as human beings, we're born into community. You know, like it or not, if you're living in an apartment, you still have a neighbor. It's just that, do you know, right? So the question is, are you connected to your community, and not do you have a community? Because we are in a community, whether we realize it or not. And so the thing is, right now, what we're trying to do is to help people realize that there are communities for them. And Yoga for Moms and Enliven Women are safe communities for women to come together, to share their struggles, to share their joys, to share their experiences, to share their stories. So community is something that is a part of us. We're not meant to live alone. You know, so I feel that the emphasis on community is exceptionally important, especially in the work that I do. And that's why for Yoga for Moms, we have actually every other month, we actually do community events. And we emphasize on topics that the women enjoy. So the community the events are meant to support the community. So I feel that as someone who wants to serve, we always have to think about what does the community need? What do they want? Right? So we do surveys. As I said again, I'm very data driven. So
yes.
Everything is based on data. I'm not going to do an event if nobody likes it, right? So we do surveys. What topics interest you most? So recently we did one, and most women said, you know, they would like to learn a little bit more about conscious parenting. They would like to have family sessions of yoga, so not just for themselves. They would like to learn a little bit more about nutrition, so things like that. So when we do data, when we have the data, then we can serve the community better, because at least we know what they need and what they want. So that's how we actually connect with our community better, and how we serve the women in our community.
And just a follow-up question to the community that you are growing and helping to, I guess, invigilate. Wouldn't the community lead as well, or do you lead them on what is best for them to look into managing this community themselves? You know, for example, like, you know, even though you're doing a survey, right, and they may give you the generic anonymous answer, but you already know that, you know, this is very generic, but there's something more specific they can move on. So would you lead that community, or you would just allow the community for them to just run the show for you?
So very, very good question. So recently I had a long and hard think about what is my vision for this community. And my vision is actually in the next 10 years that the community will forget me, or they will not need me anymore. So I think a community that thrives is one that moves forward on their own, based on the members that are passionate about serving its community, right? And so with that vision in mind, I actually asked 7 board members to come on board. So I have 7 moms, 7 women who actually volunteer their time to be part of our Yoga for Moms board. And I'm really blessed that all of them are so passionate about serving the community. And I told them from day one that, you know, our role here is to set up the community. But in 10 years, I hope that everyone forgets us, because then we know that we've done a good job, because they will run the community. It doesn't matter who founded it. It doesn't matter who started it. but it matters who takes control to continue it, right? And to put their passion and their own heart into it. So a community that will continue on by itself.
So very, very selfless approach. Yeah, yeah. It's it's commendable for you to say this out loud, because I think some people who start communities, they like to control, even though they're not saying it to you directly, because there are always ways to benefit from a community, whether if it's, I don't know, money focused or trying to run an idea, because ideologies also run deep in communities once they're in it for a long run. So, but I like the fact that you are being very open on this vision, and that's I really believe that's the way to go, to just let the community be well with what they all envision together. And that leaves me to Nureen now, because you have this community of support warriors, right? And I do not know how many, I don't know if you're a numbers person like Caleen, because Caleen is all about numbers. So I can see why she has decided to move towards this. But on your side, Nureen, having the support warriors, how often do they, I guess, bond or talk to each other or have events together now that we're out of quarantine time? And what is your role in helping this community to ensure that they are part of your mission and vision? Because I did read a bit about that early on, in ensuring that they help people through your sessions and soon enough your tech tools.
So currently we have 17 support warriors, and we actually have them all over Malaysia. And like the thing is, we do have events physically. So the good thing about having support warriors all over Malaysia, sometimes we do have events in Sabah or Sarawak, so we can go to over there and we can connect with our support warriors there.
Okay.
But although them being in Sabah, Sarawak, we can't go there as often. We can't go there as do events physically as often there. But sometimes we do have WhatsApp group with our support warriors where actually they become each other's support warriors, where sometimes they have like difficult clients or difficult users. Sometimes they say, oh, I have this kind of user, like how do I go about this session, or get opinions. Or sometimes when they're having a hard day, they do go back to the group and just say, guys, I'm having a hard day, I'm having a bad day, I'm not okay. And then they're just like, oh, they use this community within the support warrior itself to give support to them. So I think like Caleen said, later on they're gonna run the community themselves, and we as support, we're just giving them the platform, and basically the community of the support warriors, they are running it themselves already in the WhatsApp group. So later on, when we do have more support warriors, maybe the bigger we have, the more support that we can give to each other, the more support that they can give to themselves, and they can run it themselves already. So yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you quite a blunt question, and it's okay if you don't want to answer this question. I was gonna ask, can you run support without your community? And let's say if that happens, and it's the same for you, Kate. Like the moment your community is just like, oh, I'm gonna do my own thing. I don't really. We can run on our own, because this does happen. Because I've seen this happen on other people who run their own communities, and humans are gonna be humans. And these are the things that we cannot really measure, because a lot of humans have ways to, how do I say, you can call it manipulation, you can call it planning on their own, whatever, but it happens. We can't control human behavior. So in your case, what will happen if your support warriors will just be like, okay, we're gonna do our own, and we're just gonna have our own kind of thing? Is this something that you can deal with, or do you have a plan if that ever happens? This is one, because you're also an entrepreneur. I'm sure that will play in your mind as well, because I know.
I mean, I do understand, like, what if our support warriors just, come out and just do the support warrior themselves, do the, giving peer supports outside of support itself. So we do think about it, and we had plans where, the thing about being an accredited peer support is our support warrior has to go through training first. And that training is only being bought by support. And so in order to become accredited peer supporters, you have to be with support first. And actually, to us, it's that we do find it that, later on in the future, they won't become our support warriors anymore. We only offering this platform where sometimes it's very difficult for mental illness survivors to have jobs, to have careers. So we're giving this platform and we're giving them the training so that later on they have built more confidence, they don't have any social anxieties, they can go forward and do other jobs. And that is basically what we want from our support warriors. We know that they won't stay with us forever, and we are ready for that. And it's just that we are offering them a platform to do it much better, I guess. And also as well, like the support warriors, the sessions that they give are paid for. They are, our users are paying for the services. So from there, they can generate income. That's why I would say they would still stay on support because, they can generate income from there as well. So, yeah.
Okay. No, this is just real talk. I'm just trying to be a bit of a
no problem.
devil's advocate because, it can't be always, perfectly
It's
smooth,
not all rainbow and sunshine. So yeah.
Exactly. And then I'm going to ask the same thing to you, Kenny, because, because if that is your vision, how far are you from that vision that you just shared? Like have them to regulate on their own, and can you live without them? Live without, what I mean by that is the connection that you're having at the moment as a student, right? Like that keeps you, your whole business going, I would say. Are you prepared for that to ever happen, or?
Well, we only recently started the Yoga for Moms board because the community is really new. It was something that I intentionally created only last December. So we're not even a year old. And only I think it was in June that we started having the board. So 6 months after the community started. So we're really new in the sense of establishing the board, establishing the foundations for them to run without me. But as I shared before, because a lot of my students feel really connected to each other because of the community WhatsApp group and the events that we do, actually we have a lot of people ready to raise your hands to step up at any time. So during the Enliven Women event, I just give you an example. During the Enliven Women event, we had almost 150 participants, and about 60 of them were actually they volunteered to step up in one way or other. So they were either moderators, they stepped up as our brand sponsors, So I would say that the purpose is something that keeps everyone connected because everyone believes in the purpose that we have, in the vision that we have. And that is what makes them say yes, right? So if they don't believe in the vision anymore, if there's one day that they feel that, oh, this purpose is not really for me, this vision is not for me, then it's okay. I completely understand, and that is completely fine if they choose one day to step away from it. But I believe that with a strong vision, with a strong purpose, we will always have people who are willing to raise their hands and say yes.
But you're at the stage where you are right now, Kenny, with the board and being involved. We're going to be yoga moms, which is so cool. It's a very exciting time, I would say, because it's always fun. And I find it very rewarding when you are kicking off a somewhat a manifesto of starting your community, because there is not just demand, it's needed for especially for the things that you do, and also for Nureen as well. Because even here at Incitement, we started as a community as well, 3 events in Malaysia first, and then we grew in 63 countries in 2015. So it's all done by the people and how they want it to be. And there will be a stage where they just want to run it on their own, So, and that's why we give full authority on how they want to run it, as long as they see the benefit of doing so. So for me, running a community has been ingrained for a very long time. So that's why that's why I like to ask these questions, simply because how much of an appetite will you have when that time comes to either let it go or control? Because these are the two kind of personas I've seen the past 15 years being in this this business, but back to our main focus, because we're also trying to touch on how, the moving forward with tech on the work that we do, whether if it's on mental health and also what you do. I'm just going to change the screen because you, Nureen, because like there's a augmented reality it's coming out. People who are pushing the envelope of trying to be more immersed in real time virtual world, which is getting more realistic. And I know you've been in this field for over a year now, but in your own opinion and your own assessment, and same for you, Caleen, do you see this as a way of harming the human essence of having that physicality notion of because human touch is still very important, and we're already seeing a wave of younger kids who are just spending more time, and they feel more connected online as well. If you look at the young ones now, I'm not talking about Minecraft. I'm talking about like real conversation on virtual platforms. Do you see this more of would you encourage this kind of focus? One day if you have to kind of pivot, let's go all out on VR or AR in this case. Is this more encouraged, you think, or do you think it will harm more on trying to help someone to heal when going full on augmented reality?
I think to me, augmented reality is to me, like, if you listen, it's so cool, having augmented reality. Imagine talking to a support warrior, but you have your own couch. You are I would say, in an environment that you're in a cafe rather than, just talking to a screen like this would be different. But I would say it's something definitely we can look into for the future, but I don't think it would be as harming as, meeting a support warrior outside as physically as well, because that's the reason why we started SAPOT online virtually, because we think that we don't know what's going to happen if you meet the support warrior outside, if it's not in a controlled environment, or if you're going to be safe. So at least if you do it on virtually, you're much more safer. And we as support also want to take care of our support warriors, because during the training they do learn about boundaries between them and the users itself. So maybe augmented reality would definitely help to enhance the I would say the experience of talking to a support warrior. But I would say it's a new technology, and there's so much to learn about it. There's not a lot of rules or regulations about conducting sessions online or conducting sessions using augmented reality. But I think it is something that we can explore on and learn about it more later on in the future. So yeah,
because it is a new avenue, it's a new platform.
When
it's a new platform, there's always going to be a lot of talk about what harm will it bring. Already we're talking about addiction. The addiction on our phones is just like an addiction of wine to sugar. That's how bad the addiction is. Not the younger ones. Our children. Already they're exposed to smartphones, all these computer, tablets and whatnot. They're plugged in. You can tell they're very different. And obviously for them, they will probably look forward to being plugged into something more immersive, because that's what they've been taught when they were already at a very young age. And I want to go back to Caleen on your opinion on this, because there's two camps that we see, at least from the space where I get to have conversation about this. There's one that's harming, that we're more distant than ever, it becomes more isolated. So when you are going to interact with someone in real time, in a real physical space where we are, there's a tendency of being having a difficulty to have a stronger connection, and they want things faster, because we have always want things faster, right? And that kind of messes up the way how we wire, versus no, we should keep it at a limit where they still need to be to have these sessions in a physical space where people can meet, because human bond, human connection, like you both have said earlier, when the community comes together physically, even if you go to a festival or an event, everyone wants to be, they all want to be pakat lah, they all want to be connected in some way. So if it's, so what is your take on this, Caleen?
Yeah, thank you for the questions.
Yeah.
So I'm a mindfulness coach, and the word mindfulness actually means to be in the present moment without judgment. So to have a moment-to-moment awareness without judgment. And the reason why mindfulness has become so important in today's world is because our minds have become too distracted. So for example, if I were to ask anyone at all, can you just sit down for 1 minute and just watch your breath? Right. Even watching our breath for 1 minute, it's not even an hour, 1 minute becomes so challenging. And the reason is because our mind is used to so much stimulus, which means, on our phones, we're flicking up, right? Every 2 seconds, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And what that trains our mind to do is to have lesser and lesser capacity to focus. And that also leads to us feeling very irritable. It leads to us feeling very disconnected. It leads to us feeling very anxious, frustrated when things don't go according to our way. And actually that all leads to a lot of mental and emotional issues. So I would say that in VR, virtual reality, or using AI, there's nothing wrong with it. For example, it's really good if we can all connect. Imagine like attending a festival, as you said. Let's say you want to go to any festival at all, like an Adele concert, for example, right? And let's say we can log in now to experience it virtually. Isn't that amazing, right? If you can hear the surround sound of Adele singing, right?
Of course.
I think experiences like that would be amazing. It would be incredible, and you allow people all over the world to experience it. So you're actually being very inclusive. So I think it's all about how we use it. As I mentioned again, tech is a tool. I feel that tech can never replace how we think, how we feel, how we connect. And it's just us allowing it to use us, or are we using the tech, right? So the question is always, is the tech using you? Because if it's using you, it means that you find it hard to put down your phone. You find it hard to disconnect from your phone. You find it hard to turn off your phone, right? But if you are using the tech, just like a water bottle, you're not going to say, I'm going to cling on to this bottle the entire day, because it's something that it's like a tool for you, right? Like you put water in and then you can put it down whenever you want. So if you are not being used by it, you can just drop it whenever you want, and you can go about anything else that you choose to do. But if, for example, the phone is something that you feel, I'm so connected to it, I cannot lose it. And if someone were to say, just off your phone, like switch it off for 1 hour, and you say no. So that shows that the phone is starting to use us, right? So it really depends on our own ability to manage it, I would say, and not allow it to use us.
Yeah, because I really think people take things for granted in a way where, because I could imagine my parents, the way they get connected with each other was through letters. And I don't know if we can do letters, because we're so used to having the message instantly receiving, right? Even during SMS days, when you could limit only 240 characters, that was already like, wow, So, but it does grow in you on having so much reliance on the tools that you have on the whether it's a laptop or a smartphone. And that's where I'm, how do I say? This is just my opinion. I'm just a bit concerned in a sense where wouldn't that also, uh, how do you say, wouldn't that encourage more on all these new cases that we're seeing for those who are having mental health issues? Because, you know, we both went through the period of quarantine during the COVID time. That's when like hell breaks loose, all kinds of shenanigans you could find, right? And a lot of it has to be, you know, they're finally, you know, living in one place together after a while, and then you realize they're not the same person anymore, blah, 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 blah. You know, all the reliance on how we are using technology is starting to, I guess, at least for me, it's starting to, I'm starting to get awakened in that sense. And just to test, I have an ad blocker here, just to kind of have an idea how many ads am I being fed a day, and I'm fed average around 200 ads per day. So 200 ads a day, and you're a numbers person, right? 200 ads per day. Obviously, they already have the formula of when am I going to be converted to a customer. You know, could be 500 after 500 ads or 600 ads. But the accumulation of these kind of reliances. I mean, you know, we talk about perhaps maybe not more on the body, but on the mind. It could be a trigger or a cause of why we have so much people having a lot of these issues. I don't want to really call it mental health in general, but you know, it's like the trigger point. It's where it starts to, you know, like it gets you from that perspective. But I just want to just throw it out there because you know, I know the focus is on digitalizing tools on mental health care and whatnot, which is still important. But I just still, frankly speaking, I still think the human connection on a physical level rather than a virtual level or through digital platform still trumps tech. And there's a reason why, you know, we're built to be in a physical space, to know each other, to know our neighbors. That also is another effect. You know, I don't know, a lot of my friends, the younger guys, like young mid-20s or late 20s, early 20s, they don't even know their neighbor, which is quite alarming because, you know, because that's like the basic thing you would do. Because I remember those days, you know, everyone's talking to their neighbor most of the time. They know who they are, look for one another. And that's why when you mentioned both about community, they're very important because it is an essence of getting us all connected. Now, whether you want to both comment on what I'm saying, feel free, because I'm just free flowing on what I'm thinking about it, because it's something that I've been thinking about for quite some time. And that's why I was quite interested to see your modus operandi on how you manage things, whether you're more reliant on tech or you're more reliant on keeping the bare minimum so that all of us are using a good combo of both, right? Because that's the best part in the sense.
Yeah, if I may add about, you know, we're on our cell phones. We watch TikToks, we watch Reels, we use for Instagram and everything. It definitely does add on to whatever we're dealing with, because sometimes that is where we start to compare, why is this person's life is like this, why my life is like this. So it is like social media has been the reason why, you know, why we are not happy with our life. Why do we feel empty? Why we don't feel that we are fulfilled? Because we don't achieve particular parts of our lives because other people are achieving it. So I do agree that, you know, social media has given that, I would say, impact to ourselves. I would say to myself as well. I would say I'm guilty, you know, scrolling through TikTok, scrolling through Instagram, and, you know, that's the reason why we compare ourselves, because we don't have what other people have. And I think, you know, later on when we do it, we have to remind ourselves that technology is there to help us. It's not there to replace us, or we should, like Caleen said, we shouldn't depend on technology like we should depend technology like we depend on the water bottle. You just carry my water and then I drink it. That's all. And But I think it's quite hard as well living in this generation where technology is everywhere. Now, when you do work, I would say I use ChatGPT as much as once it was launched, I would use it as much because like it's easier because it doesn't take a lot of time. It saves my time from, sometimes this particular task would take me around 20 minutes. It could lessen my work time to 10 minutes. It's just that from there I have to identify, okay, the use of ChatGPT is what? It is to help me do my work faster. That's all. Because I can, with the 10 minutes that I have saved, I can use it on other work. So that is just basically how we reframe our thoughts, okay, how does technology help us so that we don't become terminators in the later future. So like the technology, the technology is consuming us. So yeah, I do believe whatever you said. That's not nice.
Okay, cool. I mean, great take as well. I do agree with a lot of what you're saying, because we became incredibly consuming everything, which bothers me sometimes. You just watch reels, and the next thing you know, it's been 3 hours just watching reels. That's nuts.
Yeah.
When I realized this is not good. But what do you think, Kaleen?
What do I think?
Kaleen. Sorry, surrender moments.
Yeah. So I think it's a very natural thing to want to know what's the next thing, right? Like that's why technology is built in such a way. That's why the app is built in such a way. The app makes money on us staying addicted to the app, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is actually through creating awareness that I feel that we can overcome this. It's because a lot of people are not aware. And so we can use our voice to help, like what you're doing now, right? We're using our voice to create awareness. Like, hey, are you using your phones, or is the phone using you? Like, just that one question. Sometimes it's just about asking ourselves, right? I mean, we can get carried away, but then suddenly that question will come into our mind. Oh, am I being used by my phone? And then we can say, okay, let's not do that. Let's now pause. So a lot of times I feel that it's about just asking the right questions, about reminding others, about creating that awareness. And if we create that awareness, then we can really use it as a tool instead of allowing it to use us. So I feel that, having conversations like this is very important. So thank you, Zikri, for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thanks to the both of you for, first of all, giving your time. And then, and of course, for lending your voice, Kaleen, because I know how important your voice is, and for Nureen as well. I think it's great that that there are a new wave of people like you looking at ways to provide simplicity with your solution. Just like that's the whole point of using tech, right? Just to make things simple, but not to get addictive to the point where it ruins you. That's where I'm drawing the line. And I really appreciate both of your thoughts, because you're both coming from a unique place in the work that you do, and your opinion matters as well, because because we can't just say the better the technology, the better the solution. I don't want to be able to see that as there's always a way of a combination of human factor with the tech that we built. And especially for you, Nureen, if you have an investor, this is the one I'm afraid, because they always want to build, grow. Even though you're more focused on the mental, on the healthcare, mental healthcare space. So just be wary of that. And not everything needs technology. And it'll be so weird if someone comes up with a blockchain tech to make you feel more mindfulness. It just doesn't add up to me, But yeah, time flies when you're having fun. And we're at our last minute, and I just thought, if you have any few words to go. For those who are watching, I completely forgot. If you're watching, please, there's a donation button down there somewhere. If you donate, all your support will go to SAPOT, and SAPOT will be more thankful for you for helping out. And before I sign off, I'd like to have just 10 to 12 seconds from the both of you on if you'd like to say any words to the audience before we could end our amazing Sembang-Sembangness. Starting with you, Nureen.
I would say, first of all, thank you. If there are people that are donating, please do know that you're helping us and we are helping other people with their mental health. And I would like to say thank you so much for those that are joining and tuning in. Thank you, Zikri, and thank you the Incitement team, to invite me. And Caleen, maybe later on we can, work together as well, because you're going through the body type, and then maybe we can help with the mindfulness type. I don't know, maybe we can work together in the future. And if you please do book a session, you can talk to any mental illness survivors that you want. You can talk to any support warrior that you want. Just go on to www.sapa.app. So thank you.
You're welcome. Caleen, please enlighten us with your amazing voice, and then we can.
Yeah, I'll just end with something that I shared during the Enliven Women, which is a quote by Helen Keller. So Helen Keller is a very famous activist. She was blind and deaf, and she said this. She said, "Alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much." And I hope that everyone watching would also lend their support to SAPOT. Because as Nureen shared, they really have a very profound vision. They really want to support people who are going through difficult times. And alone, they really cannot do much. So each and every one of us, just lending a voice, just supporting them in one small way or another will really help them go really far. And the second thing that I'd like to share before we end, which I also shared during Enliven Women, is that the secret to happiness is actually a practice of gratitude. If all of us could take just 5 minutes every day, at the end of the day, to write down just 3 things. Write down 3 things that we are grateful for and why we're grateful for them. A lot of the things that we're going to go through, it's going to seem like it's not so bad after all, because we still have those things that we can be grateful for in life. Right? So even in the most darkest moments, we always have something to be grateful for. So that's the last thing I'd like to share.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Caleen, and also Nureen for your amazing closing, I would say. And I hope people out there are giving their lending hand to SAPOT and taking your words by heart and making a practice. Gratitude. It's something we all have to put ingrain it in the way that we do at the end of the day. So. But other than that, I thank the both of you again. I really hope the both of you get connected. You're in the WhatsApp group together anyway, so please get connected. Let's keep doing good. And thank you so much. Thank you for being part of the show. So my name is Ziki Kwali. I'm going to go and sign off and have my dinner. And I hope the both of you would enjoy the lovely evening and have a productive week ahead of you. So Zikri here, signing off.
Thank you so much. Thank
you,
you,
everyone.
Bye.